Good morning, Miss Ryan, and thank you for being here today. I have you all here today because as I was looking into the way we run the HR department, I feel there are some ways we can utilize some analytical calculations to ensure the success of our company. The three calculations I want to go over with you today are staffing utilities, separation costs, and absenteeism cost. I believe using these metrics, I can show you how we can save money by learning the true costs of these common HR tasks. In order to ensure we are hiring the best personnel for the job, I propose we use a staffing calculation. This will allow us to measure if we're gaining a quality candidate and one that will have an impact on the company, worth the value we pay for them. We can use the Taylor-Russell method to determine the success of a particular candidate will be. Then we can follow that up with the Brogdon, Cronbach, and Glesser staffing utility to measure the strength of our selection process. Don't worry, I won't bore you with any math here. Oh, you like the math? Okay, here goes. Let's take a look at the Taylor-Russell model. We can see how to predict the success of our future candidate. This simple calculation is based on three parameters: the validity coefficient, which measures the success of the experiment, the selection ratio, or the proportion of applicants selected, and the base rate, or proportion of applicants who would be successful without the selection procedure. The calculation will look something like this. We can use this table to take the validity coefficient of 0.5, which is of moderate validity, and a base rate of zero point 0.2, with 20% of the applications being selected. We'll take the 20 and the 0.5 on the table that's specifically set up for a 20% selection ratio, and it gives us 44% success rate of candidates that we will hire. If we take a look at the Brogdon, Cronbach, and Glesser model, we can see that there's a correlation between the validity coefficient and the index of selective efficiency. So you take the validity coefficient represented here by Rxy, and that will equal the average score divided by the selection predictor questions. So we can see that we will have approximately a 40% candidate strength. Are there any questions so far?
What about the cost of terminating an employee? Can we discuss that?
That's a great question. Let's discuss the separation calculations. There are three main parts to calculating the cost for terminating an employee. You have the separation cost, which includes things like the exit interview, separation pay, unemployment tax if there's any. You will add that to the replacement costs, which is the cost to replace your employee, the job announcement, travel expense, testing, staff meetings. And finally, we'll add to that the cost of training your new hire. That would be through formal orientation, on-the-job training. Let's start by taking a look at the separation cost. Based on what I've seen so far here at Ryan Inc., we stand to lose approximately 20 employees this year. Based on those calculations, our total separation cost will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $52,000. Let's take a look at some of the math that will get us to that total. If we want to calculate how much it costs for the interviewer's time in the employee interview, we just simply take the interview prep time, multiply that by the pay and benefits of the HR employee, and the number of turnovers per year. Here I have it simplified. 1 hour of time for the interview, $32 for the pay and benefits, and we have 20 estimated employee turnovers per year. That gives us a calculation of $640 spent prepping for interviews for exiting employees. Again, here we can see the anticipated separation costs for Ryan Inc. this year. Next, we can move on and talk about the replacement costs. Again, this will include things like communicating job availability, testing, moving expenses, and medical examinations. Based on preliminary and predictive calculations, we're looking in the neighborhood of $238,900. Let's take a look at how to calculate the cost of making a job announcement. We take the cost of the advertisement, add that to the hours times the pay and benefit of your HR employee, and multiply that by the turnovers per year. So here we have the $500 that it will cost for the advertisement, the 3 hours that we'll be paying our HR employee $32 an hour, times 20 that they will be processing per year. We end up with a total calculation of $11,920. Here again we can see the $240,000 approximately that we need to budget for in replacing an employee for this year. Next, we'll move on to training costs. The training costs includes equipment and new employee orientation, instruction in a formal training program, and instruction by employee assignment or on-the-job training. Let's take a look at how to calculate the cost of equipment and new employee orientation. The calculation will look like this. The cost of the equipment times the number of turnovers per year. We'll add that to the hours of orientation times the pay and benefits of the HR employee and the turnovers per year. Add that to the number of hours and the pay and benefits of the trainer. Our calculation will look like this. $500 for equipment times the 20 new hires each year, added to the 16 hours of orientation times the $26 per hour of the new hire times each of the new hires, added to that the 16 hours of orientation times the $32 per hour of the trainer, for a grand total of $18,832 spent this year approximately to replace 20 employees. This brings us to a total training cost of almost $70,000 estimated this year. If we factor in the differential in performance, we're looking at a total turnover cost of $379,882, or just under $19,000 per employee. Next, we can talk about the cost of absenteeism on our company. In order to calculate the total cost of absenteeism, we take the total compensation for each absent employee. Included in that calculation is the total hours lost to absenteeism, the compensation paid to those employees who are absent, and the benefits that will be paid to the absent employee. We add to that the time spent by supervisors dealing with absent employees, the cost of replacement or temp workers and overtime, and finally we add in the cost of reduced quantity or quality of work output. Now, when we look at all of these factors as a whole, we have to decide the cost of doing business by terminating these employees or allowing them to be absent. I feel that we must have some type of program to entice the employees to stay at work, come to work healthy, and put in a good, honest day's work while they're here. Are there any questions today? Wonderful. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm glad we got to meet today.